Good morning. So here we are, Thursday. You may notice the camera's a little bit different. I've got some other things hooked up to the computer, so now we're running with the onboard, which is questionable. So with that said, today what I need to go over with everybody is what our state lab number 2 today, the Making Connections lab about pulse rate and exercise. I definitely want a chance to go over this because otherwise people tend to get very confused and have a lot of difficulty with the lab. So as we're getting that set up, we are, as always, or at least always for this unit, we are in unit number 6 for the human body. We are in week number 3. Which one do I want? I want this one. Right, unit 6, week 3. Here it is, number 39, our 39th lab of the year, state lab number 2, pulse rate and exercise. Now this lab, I want to give the heads up, we're going to be doing it a bit differently. And we're also going to be ignoring an entire part of it because we're going to be working on that with some other experiments a bit later this year when we're closer to the Regents exam. But let's go over the basics for it. So you click on this and it'll bring up this lab. So this is all about trying to figure out how different things are connected. So when you do A and B happens, trying to figure out how did A cause B? What is the connection between them? In this one, we will be utilizing your muscular system in order to see, can we identify the connections between? Safety should not be an issue depending on what you do. So if you do something more dangerous, please be careful. But there's no reason to. First, you're going to need to take your pulse rate. Now, the old-fashioned way is literally to reach around on your wrist and feel your pulse move up here in your neck to feel your pulse move. Although a lot of people now have smartwatches that will do it for them and stuff like that. If you do, feel free to use it. So what you're going to do is you are going to record your pulse rate 3 separate times, each time for 20 seconds. This is your resting pulse rate. Just have a seat, relax, measure your pulse rate for 20 seconds, get that number, multiply it by 3, and that will give you your pulse rate per minute. Do this 3 times. Then you want to calculate and record your average pulse rate. What that means, if you're not aware, is you're going to total all 3 of these, and then you're going to divide it by 3. So for instance, if you have 70 and 72 and 70 again, you would add all 3 of those together. You would get your total of 214 or whatever, and then you would divide it by 3 to get your average. Record that here. Now, it says on transparency, it tells you how old this state lab is. They've never bothered to change it. So then you're going to give me your data, and we're going to put the whole class's data onto this data table right here. So just hash marks. So like if we have 1, 2 people under 50, we have 5 people who are up above, we're just going to make some marks to record it. And then y'all are going to make a bar graph where you literally just go, all right, well, we had 2 people here. So I'll shade that in, fill it in, whatever. Then maybe we had 3 people here, but we had like 8 people there. Make sure that you fill out this scale along the side. Once again, it's really straightforward. It's nothing that we have not already done. Do you see a pattern? Yes or no? And if not, explain why you think a pattern does not exist. Most people will not see a major pattern. Then there's going to be some questions, and you guys need to think about these. You need to think about, well, Is there a connection? How can I tell? Things like that. Remember, that's this lab, connections. So make sure you read it and then spend a moment to try to answer. You can answer all these questions. They're all very easy. None of them require much. Then we're going to move on to the muscle fatigue part. Now, for those who are here in class, I have clothespins. And they're going to take these clothespins, and for 1 minute, for 60 seconds straight, they are going to squeeze them as many times as they can, counting how many times they manage to squeeze the clothespin. And then, after they do that, they're going to do it again for a second minute right away. The point is we want to stress your muscles. We want to run the finger muscles to their limit. Some people are able to squeeze the clothespin more than others. What is a possible explanation for this? Could you do as many in a minute the second time as you could the first? Provide an explanation for these results. All right, no problem. There go the lights. That's okay. The screen illuminates my face. So then you're going to go down to part A questions. And I know so far you're like, oh my God, this seems like a lot. But it's almost over. We're going to answer these. Pay attention to number 2, especially. It needs you to identify 2 body systems in your answer. We're going to go through, when you get to part B, I want you to finish up this first thing. Student A and student B, which one do you agree with? And then how could you find out which claim is correct? Explain the method here that you would use. Should be able to do it in a sentence or 2. And then we will stop. And all the rest of this we are not going to worry about. So the only thing that I want you guys to get to is the first thing right here in part B. And that will be our stopping point. We should have lots of time to do this. If you do not have a clothespin, you can choose any activity that will fatigue a muscle. So if you've got something else that you can squeeze, great. You like a chip clip, use that. If you don't have that, you could try push-ups, sit-ups. You could, if you've got like dumbbells or free weights, you could try doing those. Once again, it's just about, can you do it as many times in the second minute as you could in the first minute? All right, so don't stress if you don't have clothespins. We have many, many different options. And we're going to be discussing this lab even more as we move on, because it turns out stuff from this will continue to show up for quite a while throughout the remainder of our unit. But that's the lab. It's not too hard, it's not too long, and it should be relatively simple apart from the massive glare in my glasses. Holy cow. Yeah, so anyway, I hope everyone has a great day. I'll see you in class. And if you have any questions, as always, please make sure to ask me.